Welcome, everybody, to a brand new show here on the DC Comics News Podcast Network, the Editor's Desk. Whatever you want to call it. It's the Editor's Desk. I am here. I am Josh Raynor, Editor-in-Chief of DC Comics News, and I'm here to answer questions, whatever you got to talk about. But for today, I really want to dive into all the crazy stuff that happened about DC FanDome. If you joined me a couple days ago, I was here with Damian Fasciani, the owner of DC Comics News, and we talked about the whole schedule. We broke it down. We did like a 3-hour video breaking down everything about FanDome. Well, pretty much that got shot out the window because things have changed now, and it has broke down to a 2-day event. And I've got some guests here with me who are going to break everything down with me and talk about what they're looking forward to and their thoughts on how it all shook out. So first up is Kelly Gaines. Hey, Kelly, how you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Excited to have you here. And
Excited to be here.
Also joining us today, Mr. Brad Felicki. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So, how excited are you guys about DC FanDome?
Still excited? Yeah, excited. Nervous now, nervous more, but still happy, still excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna be glued to the internet for the entire, I guess, 8 hours now.
Yeah.
But definitely.
I spent the better part of a day and a half putting together a schedule for what was going to be a 24-hour live stream for that event. And now it's just going to be 8 hours, Maybe it might be different because we'll go over some of the because they added some new panels to this, and it seems like some of them are going to overlap. It's inevitable. Things shorter than they originally had planned. But so we'll start off. For those of you who haven't heard, DC FanDome, like I said, is now going to be 2 days. They're still going to have the event on August 22nd, but they're also going to have a second event on September 12th. So there's a gap of 3 weeks in between these things. And on Saturday, it's going to be strictly their Hall of Heroes section. It's what they called their islands, the Hall of Heroes. And essentially what Hall of Heroes is their Hall H, if you're familiar with San Diego Comic-Con. It's where they have all their big movie panels and things like that. And that's pretty much what all this is. So there's a lot of stuff going on in these 8 hours. I'm pretty excited to talk about it. But first, I want to show a trailer.
Welcome to the Hall of Heroes.
On August 22nd comes an unprecedented global fan event.
Hello, everybody. It's all DC, all the time. DC FanDome is unlike anything you've ever seen before. I'm actually standing inside a stage that Jim Lee himself drew. How incredibly cool is that?
That's crazy, right?
This worldwide mega event is for DC fans across the globe.
Ça va, DC FanDome?
Hola, mi gente.
Guten Tag, meine Freunde.
We've got exclusive footage, insider info, the latest DC news, and huge announcements.
You know what I'm talking about.
There was no way that I could come here and not bring a look at the movies.
Yes.
There's so much cool content to look at.
That was a really special episode.
Designed just for you, the absolute DC fan.
That's amazing! Whoop, whoop.
There's something that I can show you.
Exclusive content!
Stuff that seems impossible ends up becoming possible.
I am beyond excited to be sharing this moment with you guys.
Awesome.
Hang on tight, because we are about to whisk you around the DC FanDome. Are you guys ready? Let's get this thing started.
DC FanDome, Hall of Heroes. All fans welcome. 24 hours only. August 22nd. And there's only one place you can experience it, at DCFandome.com.
All right. What'd you guys think of that trailer?
The whole thing looks a lot more, I don't know if the word's professional, but or official than some of these other virtual cons that have happened since COVID. It looks to me like they put a lot of thought and love into it, and the announcements look like they're going to be huge. And at least, on the movie side of things, it looks like we're not going to have to wait. Thank God. But they'd be really insane if they were going to push those announcements back. And I think they do want to get those trailers and things out to the public so they can finally see it.
Yeah. What about you, Kelly?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love the trailer. It looks awesome. It actually, for a second, I was like, this looks like a great movie. And no, that's not what I'm watching. But I'm still, I guess I'm happy that they have all of the movie stuff still happening on the first day. But I mean, personally, there's a lot that I wanted to see that's gotten pushed back a little bit. And yeah, I mean, it's a great trailer. It's still going to be a great event with any luck, but nervous, still nervous.
Yeah. So we got a comment here from Eric Z. Kind of happy that they moved it to 2 parts, but wish it didn't have to wait 2 weeks. Actually, it's 3 weeks, but for it. Now, I gotta say, the entire time, ever since this was first announced, I thought it should have been a weekend event instead of a 24-hour thing. Mm-hmm. It's something I wanted it to be either Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Just spread it out. And I mean, I was into it. I was willing to stay up the whole 24 hours to watch as much stuff as possible. And even after I made my entire schedule, there was still stuff I couldn't fit in, And I'm watching stuff the entire time. I'm not taking breaks. I mean, other than like 10, 15 minutes in between, things where there's nothing happening. But I understand why the fans were kind of crying out about it and why they decided to do this. But what are your guys' thoughts on them making it 3 weeks later, as opposed to either that same weekend or even just 1 week later?
Yeah, that's a risky move, I think. I mean, it does make sense, I guess, because this is kind of a late rescheduling. But 3 weeks is enough time for the momentum that they kind of picked up by releasing the schedule and having everybody excited that it was going to be this weekend. That it gives you a little bit of space to lose momentum. I mean, we say this on the podcast all the time with delays in comic books, that it's not necessarily that you lose fans, it's that the interest might not stay exactly the same for a longer period of time.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks is a long time. Mm-hmm. And given what has happened over the past few weeks with DC, especially on the comic side, it does not bode well to me. No. It's making me think that they're trying to kind of rally the troops, circle the wagons, and try to figure out kind of like a message that they want to push forth going forward on the comic side. And Kelly, I agree that the momentum is just not going to be there if we have to wait 3 weeks. That's absurd. If honestly, I think that if it was a simple matter of fans saying, hey, this is just too much for one day, they would just move it to the next day. It's a whole weekend. You could do a Saturday and Sunday, but if they push it back that far, then there's probably some corporate reason that we don't know, or at least don't know yet. So, but I'll look on the bright side and say that maybe if we do wait 3 weeks and some of the comic announcements that come out, maybe it'll give a little time for the dust to settle and they'll have more concrete information about release dates and exactly what's going to be happening moving forward. But 3 weeks, man, that's a long time to wait.
Yeah. And it's like, when I first went through that schedule, most of it was actual scheduled events. They had their own time. They would do encores, but it was all, they had their own set times. There was only one section of it they had on-demand stuff. But now everything other than what's being shown this Saturday, everything else that's going to be in September is all on demand. So if they could do that, then why not just put all of it as on demand now? So that, you're watching these panels throughout maybe not, honestly, I didn't have all the panels that are being shown on Saturday on my schedule. Just because I was like, well, I don't need that one, whatever. And so it's I could just skip a panel and go watch something on demand. I could go watch one of the Lucifer panel or whatever, but like all those TV panels, except for 2 of them, I have to wait 3 weeks now. And if they are making them on demand, why not just keep them on demand, or at least some of them, so that in the off time, after 9 o'clock, it's done. If you have the time to sit there from 1 to 9, then you're done. You got nothing else to do on it. There's absolutely no on-demand stuff. Like, even the on-demand stuff that they had set for it isn't going to be available during this time. And it's like they could have at least kept all the Insiderverse stuff, which was a lot of like documentaries and stuff, kind of like special feature type stuff that you'd find on Blu-rays and whatnot. They had a lot of that kind of stuff in the Insiderverse island, all on demand throughout that day. And for some reason, they just didn't even bother to keep that, which they easily could have. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, that I don't know. I was hoping that maybe it was something closer to having to reschedule people, but it's all on demand. There is no reason to delay it unless maybe they just think people are going to get bored in a day. Although if that's the case, then that can't come from someone who's been to conventions, because we spend entire weekends doing this one thing and focused on this one thing. So it's not, 8 hours isn't gonna kill anybody.
Yeah. We have another guest here now, Kendra Hale. Welcome.
So sorry, technical difficulties out the wazoo.
We were just talking about everything going on with FanDome, and let's get your quick thoughts on, first off, them splitting it to 2 days, making it the second day 3 weeks apart, and not including any of the on-demand stuff that they have in this coming Saturday's event.
Oh gosh. Quick thought is the 3-week thing is absolutely a disservice to themselves. I mean, we've seen cons recently with Justice Con be able to pull off back to back, and that was a lot of content too. So, I mean, for them not to have learned from that and to kind of do a disservice to themselves and to the fandom by stretching it out 3 weeks, they kind of run into the possibility that there are going to be people who are going to forget about it. Yeah. But when it comes to them kind of not having all of the content, I saw that they're not going to have some of the movie previews.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones is the Superman Man of Tomorrow world premiere. Yeah, was supposed to take place this Saturday.
A lot of people were complaining about that.
Yeah, and I'm just like it's gone completely. Like, that's one that they could have just kept, but it's just gone completely now. Yeah. And so is the Deathstroke Knights and Dragons one. I'm granted that movie's out, and it'll be on. It's on DVD and everything now, but still, it's a big kind of loss right there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It just feels like they're doing a huge disservice all around. I mean, that's really the biggest quick thought I can give, is that it really doesn't seem like they put so much into it, and then for it to be this quick and this soon before it's supposed to happen. I mean, it's this weekend.
Yeah. And like Kelly and Brad were saying too, it's they could have put stuff on Sunday. They could have, or even like I was saying, next week, like just 1 week. Like, the fact that it's 3 weeks, like Brad, like you were saying, it doesn't bode well for whatever's going on over there. Because that's where all their comic book stuff pretty much was on the Insiderverse stuff, which is now all 3 weeks from now. So I don't know. There's one comic book panel on Saturday, and it's randomly the Sandman universe one. I still don't know why it was in the Hall of Heroes section in the first place. Seems like a weird choice, but I guess
unless they have something really big to announce.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
they're finally gonna announce the TV show or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe. But a lot of this Sandman universe stuff has been canceled anyway. So there's got to be something that they were gonna say. And as much as I've really liked the Audible Sandman, I hope wasn't just a panel to push that. That's out now. So most of us have already heard it, or So I hope it's more than that.
Yeah. All right. So I kind of want to go through some.
And why couldn't they just put the Three Jokers panel? I mean, the first issue of that comes out next week, so that would have been perfect to have this weekend to get people excited for Wednesday.
Yeah, and there's definitely some panels that could have been pulled out of this side and stuck over on the other one to make room for stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't try to even it out a bit more, but so I want to take a look at the schedule here. All right, so first up, we've got the Wonder Woman 1984 panel. It's I think a 25-minute panel. You guys excited for this one? What do you think they might do with this?
That has to be the most exciting one right now, especially for Saturday. And at least it's 25 minutes. I didn't realize until you and Damien were talking, because I guess I just didn't read the end time, the start time for everything. Some things are like 5 minutes or 15 minutes. That's a little nuts to me. That's a lot.
There's a couple of these that I'm just like, why are you even bothering with it being so short? We'll get to them as we go on down. So, Brad, what are you most excited about with this Wonder Woman panel? What are you hoping that they kind of show?
I kind of hope we get to see some footage of Cheetah and finally get a look at what she looks like.
Yeah,
because I think we've gotten the idea, the tone of the film, and look. Now I kind of want to see. I want to see Cheetah.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
I think I'm in the same boat. I want to see what they're bringing to the table. I mean, I know that the trailer's not going to give any answers as to why Steve's back alive, but
yeah, that's
fair enough.
We're probably going to have to wait for the film.
Yeah. Then next up, we got this Warner Brothers Montreal announcement. The big rumor is that it is a new Batman game centered around the Court of Owls. That's been the rumor for probably close to 2 years now, I feel like. I've been hearing this rumor. It's like the worst kept secret. Now, I'll be shocked if that's not what it is. They just blow us out of the water and it's something completely different. That'd be like, bravo. But what do you guys do? First off, what do you guys think if it is a Court of Owls game? And if not that, is there something that you'd like to see them do? Kelly, I'll start with you.
If it is a Court of Owls game, that will probably go over really well. I know a lot of people loved the Court of Owls storyline. And yeah, I can't see how that wouldn't be a fun game to play. I don't play a lot of games, but that seems like it'd be a really good idea. If it's not Court of Owls, then I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. That was one of the panels that I just didn't even really stop on, because I was like, okay, well, Warner Brothers, Montreal. If I had to pick something that's totally unlikely and not realistic, Canadian superhero team. But I mean, that's just not going to happen. So a video game it is.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I'm excited because they worked on Arkham Origins, so they're connected to the whole Rocksteady Arkham universe. And we already know that we're getting some information on Rocksteady's new Suicide Squad game. Yeah. So it would be cool if they're somehow kind of connected, because they could be. If it's a Batman game, I would love it to be about, center on the Court of Owls. But really, even if the play style and the combat is like the Arkham games, it could be any Batman game, and I will be there as soon as it comes out. So I might be the most excited out of all of us here on the panel tonight. But yeah, I'm psyched for it.
What about you, Kendra?
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as Brad. As long as it's halfway decent, and the Arkham games were, so the fact that it's that same company only bodes well. It's definitely going to be a mature game, and I look forward to it. It's a take my money venture.
Nice. All right. And then we have. Where we go? Okay, so this is where we have the Sandman universe Enter the Dreaming panel. This is a 30-minute panel. It's got Neil Gaiman, Dirk Maggs, G. Will Wilson, and Michael Sheen discussing the legacy of the Sandman comic book series and how it has been expanded throughout. I like that G. Willow Wilson's going to be there because she's penning that new book, what is it called? Waking the Waking, something like that. Whatever it's called. It's part of the Dreaming. I think it's Waking Hours, I believe is what it's called. So I like that she's there. First off, have any of you been reading any of the Sandman stuff, the recent stuff? And are you looking forward at all to this pretty much one and only comic book panel that they got going on? Kelly, what about you?
I haven't been reading it, but I will definitely watch this panel. I mean, one, it's the only comic book panel, which I feel like there has to be just a crazy show of support for comic books right now. If things are as up in the air as they are, I'd rather whoever's in charge see, like, we show up for comic books. We're interested in these panels and actually, which now just makes me sound like a hypocrite because now I go get the Waking or the Dreaming. And I love Neil Gaiman, so if he's going to be in it, then I am there completely.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I agree with Kelly. If Neil's there, I'm there. I will definitely check this out. I'm not as caught up on the new Sandman universe stuff as I should be, as such a huge Sandman fan, but I will try to rectify that over the next few weeks. I'm doing a lot of catch up on my reading over this whole lockdown, so that's I pulled those out, so they're definitely on my list.
Yeah, what about you, Kendra?
I'm in the same boat. I mean, not only for the support of the comic books, because it definitely needs it right now, but also, again, Neil Gaiman. When it comes to the comic books, I haven't read The Dreaming, but I have seen the artwork for the covers and for the sequential, and it's gorgeous. So I look forward to hearing them talk about what's behind it so that way I can kind of enjoy it more as a fan.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we really get some announcements about maybe them expanding this kind of set of comics that they've had going for a little bit, because a lot of them have ended. But then they just started this new one, so I was like, I'm really hoping to hear a bit more about that. I do find it interesting that this is like the only comic book panel that we get here, and I'm just the reasoning behind why this specific panel I think is one of the things I'm most interested to find out, as we were saying before. I don't know. It could be almost anything. They could be, like I mentioned, maybe they'll be talking about stuff in the movie or TV universe, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, next up is this one. This one caught my eye when I first was checking out the schedule, and this is the Multiverse 101 panel, which I think is really cool because it's got Jim Lee from the comic side, you got Walter Hamada for the movie side, and Greg Berlanti for the TV side. So they'll be diving into all the aspects of DC and the multiverse in this half-hour panel. So, Kelly, is there anything that you're kind of hoping to get out of this?
Definitely. I think the thing that I get asked most by friends who aren't really comic fans is, how does a multiverse work? How do all of these different versions of characters and all these storylines exist at one time? And why is there a movie storyline versus a comic storyline? Why doesn't it all mesh together? So if they can actually explain that in 30 minutes, and it's something that I can pick up and maybe tell people, besides being like, all right, well, there's an Earth here, and then there's like 30 other Earths, but they're not important right now. And this might help me as a whole just explain what it is that I read. And even if not, I mean, Jim Lee has to be the most trustworthy person in DC Comics right now. I say a little bit grudgingly since all the announcements recently, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I get some just firm educational information out of this.
Yeah. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, I think this would be a good intro for people who have just gotten into DC. And this would be a good opportunity because I think that with the movies and everything that have come out, I think DC does have a lot of new fans. and I'm going back to Crisis with the Arrowverse shows, and I just wonder if people were new to DC, if they watched that, if they were completely confused.
Yeah.
So that's where a panel like this comes in to really help new fans get acclimated and kind of can suss everything out. So, yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this. I'm more interested in panels that are going to have big announcements, but I'm interested in how they present this, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
I'm actually curious to see how their moderators are going to differ from what we saw with Justice Con and some of the other cons that have happened already. Because I want to see how they're going to be able, because there's such short time frames. And I mean, even if they only get, I know I'm going to ballpark it, but even if they only get 5,000 people that that get on and watch, I would say at least 500 of those are gonna have questions. So I'm curious to see how they're gonna moderate that.
Yeah.
Especially with Jim Lee. I mean, like Kelly said, I mean that's the big face for DC. So that one would be that, and Neil Gaiman would be the two panels that I would see them, aside from Harley Quinn. There would be more of a driven audience.
Part of me is really hoping that we get just kind of essentially announcements about what the future will hold from all three divisions.
Right.
In this, like where like maybe this is where Jim Lee kind of talks about what's going to be in the future of the comics. We'll get to hear about what may be the future of the movies and everything like that. And I mean, the TV's going pretty strong. That's probably the strongest division that they've got right now is their TV side. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what that one will be. This next one, when I first saw it, I was like, what is this one going to be about? Is it just going to be like about this character? But no, it is about the movie. We have Introducing Flash. It's a 101 style conversation with the filmmakers of the upcoming Flash movie, Andy and Barbara Muschietti, and Ezra Miller and screenwriter Christina Hodson. It's only a 10-minute panel, though. That's the thing that, I mean, I know that they haven't really done anything much with it, but 10 minutes. I mean, what could they do in 10 minutes, really? Kelly, what are your thoughts on this? First off, them doing this panel, the people who are going to be involved, and the fact that it's only 10 minutes long. Kelly?
This has to be, I mean, it's a fast panel, but I don't know. If I was Ezra Miller, I'd be like, it's really, after all the fight that I put up for Flash, 10 minutes to get people.
Yeah.
But I guess if you really want to look at it as like how do you build interest in a movie, or how do you build interest in a character, if you really know how to sell it, you only need 10 minutes. I mean, I'll watch it partly out of rooting for Miller, knock it out and be the best ever. But yeah, 10 minutes is a short panel, although there's some 5 minutes, so I don't know.
That is true. What about you, Brad?
I'm just kind of glad that this panel exists, even if it is only 10 minutes, because this movie has gone back and forth, on again, off again. Who's writing it? Who's going to direct? Is it going to be Flashpoint? So at least maybe in 10 minutes, at least we can get some concrete information.
Yeah.
That it's really going to happen, and kind of what, not necessarily what the story's going to be, but kind of its bigger picture in the DCEU.
Yeah. I do feel like we probably will get a sense of what the story's going to be, because some stuff had come out, so I'm hoping that they confirm whether or not all that stuff had come out will actually happen, maybe what Michael Keaton's role will actually be, so that we can stop speculating on all of it and just kind of know what it's going to be. So, Kendra, what about you? What are your thoughts on this panel?
I'm in the same boat. I don't know if it's just like from experience from going to cons, but I just feel like 10 minutes is so quick. Especially like with what Kelly said, where they fought for this, and there's been it just doesn't feel like 10 minutes is going to give them enough time to either answer questions, or maybe they're going to be turning those comments off so that way they can just get the information out and then that's it. No questions, no nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't think that any of the, like, there's 4 people up there. I don't think they're going to really get that much time to talk, you know what I mean? You're not really going to get to dive in too much. It's really just going to be surface level. I don't think they filmed anything. So I don't think they have anything to show. I mean, maybe some, like sketches or whatever, some storyboards possibly, if anything. That'd be pretty cool. But or if anything, a title card. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Just to see what the logo might look like, if anything. But I don't know. So next up, this one, when I first read the title of
it's gonna be 10 minutes of Ezra Miller running.
It might be. When I read the title for this next one, I read it backwards. I thought it was a Batman Beyond panel. So I was like, oh, yes. And then I opened it up and I was like, that's not, this is weird. And then I realized it says Beyond Batman. It does involve Batman Beyond, but it's something really interesting. This is one of those 5-minute ones that you were talking about. Batman of the swinging 60s culture clashes with the Batman of the far-flung future when Batman Beyond and his mentor, old Bruce Wayne, intercept a broadcast of the 1966 Batman TV show. I gotta say, it sounds fascinating to me. Kelly, what do you think?
I just picture a lot of horrified screaming on both Batman's ends, just like, because I mean, if I was the Batman from the 60s, I would be very disturbed by what future Batman is like. And if I was future Batman, I'd be like, what in the world is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. 5 minutes. What is?
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I'm more curious more than anything else how it's all gonna play out. So sure, yeah, I'll check it out. Who doesn't love Batman, But yeah, we'll see. I don't think this is very high on my list of panels that I'm excited for, but yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check it out.
What about you, Kendra?
I mean, it's Terry McGinnis. I'm there for it, but for 5 minutes, I hope it's like an animation that leads us to this being their new animated TV series. I mean, I'm down.
That would be awesome. A Batman Beyond meets Batman 66 awesome. Animated series? Come on. That would be great. Awesome.
But they're not going to do it because we would want it.
That's true, but I would be there for every single minute of it. All right, so we've had a 10-minute panel. We had a 5-minute panel. Now we get a nice, long, meaty 30-minute panel for this next one, The Suicide Squad. I gotta say, I'm pretty pumped for this one. I didn't necessarily hate the first one, but it definitely was not what I wanted out of a Suicide Squad movie. And I love James Gunn, so I gotta say I'm pretty excited to see what they do with this one, and what kind of surprises me what we might get out of this panel. So Kelly, we can start with you. What do you think about this Suicide Squad panel, and what are you hoping to get from it?
I mean, I hated the first one. I didn't hate it going in. I think I started to hate it at the part where Katana came in.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, I mean, I've never seen a movie is just, in the character organically. Either way, I'm excited to an extent, although there's a little part of me, like how we were talking earlier about losing momentum. There's a fraction of me that just doesn't care that much anymore. It kind of, Suicide Squad was terrible. We found out we were getting a new one. Now it's been a couple and I have Wonder Woman stuff on my mind. So definitely want to see what new direction they're going in. And I mean, I know it's not going to be a stupid rubber shark costume for King Shark if he's even in it.
Yeah.
But I really, really want it to be.
You really want a rubber suit?
Left sharp from that whatever Super Bowl performance. I'll watch it, but it's not that high up on my priority list.
Okay.
I do. Because I think why not would be James Gunn.
Fair enough. All right, Brad, what about you? Brad?
I'm super excited for this because I'm such a James Gunn fan, and I'm not even thinking about the first one when I'm considering this. I think it's going to be such a different experience. So I just really hope that we get to see some footage, whether it's a trailer or whether it's just like a little sizzle reel, whatever it could be. I just want to see. I want to see some footage, and maybe finally figure out if King Shark is going to be CGI or guy in a suit. So we've had that discussion on the podcast. So hopefully we'll get to see that. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. And Kendra?
I'm with Kelly. I mean, this one, I wanted so much to love Suicide Squad, but I have my own bones to pick with it. However, when it comes to this specific panel, I'm really hoping for an MXC type feel so that we see like a game course where people get knocked out. That would make me super happy.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
That could definitely be interesting.
Well, it says in the thing that they're going to test their survival instincts. What's better than an obstacle course?
Fair enough. I definitely am. I mean, James Gunn is great with ensemble casts, so no matter what, I'm interested to see what he can do with it. So, all right. So our next one is the Females of Color Within the DC Universe panel. I think this is a fantastic. I'm super excited. It's got people from all kinds of different. You got actresses from Shazam, Batwoman, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, all over the place. And it's right on here. It's a 20-minute panel, but apparently, if you look at it, it says catch the entire full-length conversation at McDuffie's Dakota, which is in the Watchverse Island. So the fact that it's still here makes me think that they'll maybe have something over in some of the other islands. Otherwise, it's literally just going to be this, or they're going to make us wait 3 weeks to hear the full-length conversation, which I think I would be real angry about if that was the case.
That'd be weak.
It's like here's 20 minutes of it. Now wait 3 weeks for the rest of it. Yeah, no. Kelly, is this a panel that you're interested in?
Definitely. I think this was pretty high up on my list of panels that I wanted to see. It'll definitely be fun to hear all of those voices come to a conversation with different perspectives from the different shows, movies, whatever else that they've done. God, I hope it's not 3 weeks apart for two separate pieces of a conversation. Because again, I mean, if I can't wait a couple years for Suicide Squad, I can't wait 3 weeks to hear the second half of a conversation. That's that's a little bit crazy. I mean, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. I will watch 20 minutes for the kind of topics, the little, if you figure they have a lot of presenters, I mean, do they get 4 minutes each to talk? Like, that sounds a little, you can't have a ton of a conversation in 20 minutes with that many people. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's all on the same day, and I will absolutely be watching it.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I agree with Kelly. I do hope that we can see the whole thing in some form on Saturday. And I'm really interested in what the Black Lightning cast has to say. I think that show deals with things that are going on in the current world in a really cool way, and I think that they would have a lot to say about that. And it's kind of a show that doesn't get talked about as much as the others, and I've always been a fan of it, so I'm really excited to see what they have to say. And I think I think it's going to be. So yeah, I'm excited for this, and I'm glad it's a little bit longer.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
I'm kind of the same. I'm going to echo everybody. I mean, I feel like if I'm not willing to wait on a YouTube video to buffer, then I'm not willing to wait 3 weeks for the end of a conversation. But
yeah,
it also makes me think, because if they're doing part of it like almost like a teaser, I guess, how many of these other 5, 10 half-hour ones are teasers? And we're gonna have to like go on a Where's Waldo hunt to find the content. Where's the beef? We're gonna go back to the 90s and look for content. That's really curious. I mean, I'm excited for it because, like everybody said, I want to hear what they have to say. I love hearing experiences, fun little tidbits from the show, funny stories that they might have to offer. But I don't think that DC, it's sounding more and more like, yeah, they may not know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so excited for this whole event, and
right,
things just seem to be falling apart piece by piece. And
it's DC Universe, Josh.
Yeah,
where's my rewards?
Nowhere. You get no rewards. You get no fancy statues. Nothing.
Right? My pins still have not come.
Oh
nothing. You get nothing. All right. So this next one, nice 15 minutes, Legacy of the Bat. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like.
I've gotten nothing.
Nothing. You don't get anything either.
They could at least send some stickers.
No, you don't get anything.
Right?
You get useless points. That's all you get.
Oh.
All you get.
So
yes. No. Legacy. I don't want to get into that. Legacy of the Bat. It's pretty much, like I said, what it sounds like. It's a discussion on the wide scope of the Batman universe, including the Batman family of characters, key talent from comics, TV, games. Will provide insight into the world of the Caped Crusader. 15 minutes. I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch this, but they could have taken this 15 minutes and gave it to something else, and I would have been totally fine with that. Like, there's a panel coming up later that we'll talk about that's 5 minutes long, and I'm like, that is disrespectful. And if you've looked through through all the schedule, you may know exactly which one I'm talking about. But when we get to it, I'll point that out. But Kelly, do you have any interest in this panel?
Enough for 15 minutes. No, I mean, if we tried to do even one episode of the podcast in 15 minutes, we would get through the introduction, and that's about it. Like, there's
and it says
you can't talk about
key
anything
talent
substantial
from comics, TV, and games.
About...
There's multiple people going to be on this thing. 15
That's what
minutes.
these have to be. It has to be teasers.
Do they each say a word?
I have no idea.
Oh, but then why is it a teaser? Like, don't make me work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
If it is a teaser, then let us know. But like, okay, like with the other one, just let us know.
Gigantic during 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Brad, what about you? Are you excited for this panel at all? I mean, you'll probably check it out, but are you excited for it?
I'm yelling at you guys, but it's not your fault.
I'm excited because I'm a huge Batman fan, and I don't think there's anything in comics quite like a well-told Batman story. I've always said that, and I stick by it. But Josh, I totally agree that something else could have taken this 15 minutes. Yeah. We know that Batman's popular. Batman is like the bread and butter of DC right now, and I do like the reports. I'm curious what they would have to say about that, but. This could have gone to something. This could have gone to something else.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra? I assume shaking your head. Yes, same thought.
I'm the hater this episode. I'm so mad. I didn't come on here thinking I was going to be the hater, but I am. I mean, it's just like you said it. There's a 5-minute podcast that's going to come up where you're saying it's disrespectful, but for me, and I mean, at least most of the fans. This is kind of disrespectful. I mean, we just hit the 80th celebration year. Why do they only get 15 minutes? There's so much talent you could have pulled into this that everyone wants to hear from. And there's so many questions that could be answered. If this is a teaser, it's horrible.
Yeah, hopefully that's not what the case is. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I kind of almost want it to be a teaser so that there is more to this conversation.
Right.
You know, I'm torn because it's like I don't want this whole event to just be a bunch of teasers.
Maybe all the
But-
artists and the writers heard 15 minutes and they were like, "Oh well, I can't do it."
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. The next one.
Yeah, if it's not a teaser,
The next
that's
one
worse.
I could honestly do without as well. It's a 10 minutes. Chris Daughtry doing a performance, singing a couple of songs. He's singing his song "Waiting for Superman," and then a brand new song called "World on Fire." Any of you Chris Daughtry fans? I mean, I don't mind his music, but I honestly don't see why they're spending 10 minutes on this, to be honest with you. Again, when there are 5-minute panels of other things that should have gotten more. Kelly, what about you?
I mean, honestly, I probably won't watch this one. Not that I have anything against Chris Daughtry. He's a very talented musician, but I just don't. I mean, a musical performance wasn't high up on my list of things to watch anyway. But I don't really see the point, I guess. I mean, I could see if it was like a little palate cleanser, if there were a bunch of long panels, if it was really going for 24 hours, then, the musical break is when you have time to do all the other stuff you have to do during that 24 hours. But now it's like, oh, it's 8 hours, 10-minute performance by Daughtry. It's like watching a Christmas special. So no, I don't think I'll watch this one.
What about you, Brad?
Yeah, is anybody gonna watch this?
I don't know. I will probably watch it sheerly for the fact that there's nothing else going on.
Right.
It was not on my schedule before because I was like, I don't need to include this because I got plenty of other things that I got to cover. But now that there's literally nothing else to cover, I'm like, well, I'll be watching it during the live stream, I guess. Whatever. Yeah. Oh. All right. What about you, Kendra?
I'll be watching it because I think he's pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know the song. So...
because he was on American Idol. That's literally the only season of American Idol I've ever watched. That's the only reason I know who he is. Otherwise, I don't even think I would know who he is. I know that he's worked in comics. He drew some. I don't even know which ones he did, to be totally honest with you. So.
I mean, it's cool.
Really?
It's kind of like them bringing in people at E3 when they do like the Final Fantasy soundtrack. They bring in the orchestras to play some of it, but the song didn't blow up, so
that's true. Yeah. So this next one, I honestly forgot that this was a 5-minute panel. So here's another one that's a little disrespectful in my opinion. And I don't know how they're going to do it, to be totally honest with you. It's the Joker. Put on a happy face. And it says it features interviews with filmmakers and industry legends. And you discover the origins and evolution of the Joker. Learn why the clown prince of crime is universally hailed as the greatest comic book supervillain of all time. In 5 minutes. There you go. You just get all these interviews, jam them in 5 minutes. It's like I feel like it's going to be like a sizzle reel. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's no other way for
it's not even a proper roast.
It's not.
Roseanne got a better roast.
What do you guys think? They could have taken, the 10 minutes of Daughtry, gave 5 of it to this, 5 of it to the other one I'm going to talk about later, and I would have been even a little bit happier at least. But Kelly, what do you think about this?
How and why and I'm sputtering. Fine. That's all I got. Fine. 5 minutes. Sure, I'll watch it. Whatever.
Andrew Casale, disrespectful because they're not giving this amazing character the time that he deserves. That's
80 years in 5 minutes.
Yeah, only getting that 5 minute. That's the reason. Yeah, that's the big reason there. So
we're the haters.
Yeah, Brad. What about you?
Brad?
I can almost. It makes no sense to me.
We're right.
I promise you, all it's going to be is the trailer for the movie that's free on iTunes right now. So everybody can just go download that movie for free, watch it, and they don't even have to worry about this 5 minutes spent on this panel. So
Yeah.
I really don't understand unless they're really trying to promote this free movie on iTunes for some reason. And by the time Saturday rolls around, most Joker fans will have already downloaded it and watching it because it's free. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And there was like a lot of stuff. Like for instance, in the on demand, there's a Joker. It seems like it's essentially like a mini behind the scenes doc called Vision and Fury. It's about the movie, the Joker, and it's like 25 minutes long, and that's just about the movie. And yet, the encompassing 80 years of this grand character gets a whole solid 5 minutes. Loving it. Yeah, so Kendra, any thoughts?
Isn't Vision and Fury that featurette that they put out?
What?
Didn't we watch Vision and Fury for the podcast once? Wasn't that a featurette that was on YouTube? I feel like I remember this, and I think it was 25 minutes. And if so, it's been out for months.
I remember that.
Yeah, most of the stuff that was on demand in the Insiderverse, I'm pretty sure is all like stuff that you can find on various DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. And that's why I think it was all on demand stuff. Again, why they didn't include
at least
that.
It's 25 minutes.
Yeah, so you're getting something at least.
No, I mean, I'm worried about this one because I'm covering this one for Dark Knight News. It's one of the ones that I have to watch. And I was so excited when I saw it because I was like, oh, cool. So maybe they're doing that because we hit the 80th anniversary. And we're going to get to see people who have worked on the stories, who have put input in the animation. Maybe even see stuff from like Injustice where he's featured, or the Arkham games, or Telltale. I mean, I was excited, and then I started to see how little these were, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait.
You're like, I don't know if I can write 300 words about that.
450, let's be clear.
Long.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm gonna do more justice than they are in 5 minutes.
Most likely. You'll give probably more history to it, yeah. So the next one, which I'm actually pretty excited for. We got the man, Jim Lee, here. He's doing a portfolio review, DC Supervillain fan art. So he'll be looking at some fan-submitted art, focusing on DC Supervillains, getting a nice solid 10 minutes to look over that kind of stuff. I think this is, there's a few of these that they did in some of the other islands as well, and I think it's really neat. I'll be honest, whether it needs to be on like this day now, with it being split and then pulling all the other stuff away, I feel like this is one of those things that they could have taken that and fit one of the other, taken like a bunch of these small ones that don't necessarily need to be there, and fit like another TV panel or something like that into here, something that has a bit more substance to it, since we're only going to get this 8 hours of content for this event. So Kelly, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this one probably could have been bumped back to the second day. I think this is the only one you've mentioned that's within 5 and 10 minutes that I could reasonably see him saying everything that he has to say in that span of time, if he's only looking at give or take 5 pieces of artwork. I mean, I hope it's not like a big thing where he's just like, good, bad, good, bad. Like, I don't.
Okay, go away.
Yeah, I mean,
this line is crooked.
I could see, right. Just flashcards through the whole thing. But I mean, I do like the portfolio reviews as a whole. I think that's a really special part of conventions. And it is great that they're still including it for this one. But yeah, I mean, they could have pushed it, and 10 minutes, I mean, grab 5 minutes from Daughtry, grab 5 minutes from here, put that on the Joker. Maybe we can get up to his second month of existence. Yeah, I do like this panel, but it probably could have waited.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I think it could have waited too. Although I admit that when I do go to cons, one of the least important things to me is going to Artist Alley, but I know that I'm in the minority. I know that there's so many people that's one of their favorite things about the cons. So I can kind of take or leave this, but it is kind of interesting, I guess, to see Jim Lee kind of give his opinion on what he finds good and bad in art, kind of get his little insight on that. I think will be interesting.
Yeah. What about you, Kelly? Kendra?
This is one I'm actually excited for. And the reason being is I've been in Artist Alley, and I've been on the opposite side of the table trying to sell wares and doing commissions and things like that. And this is really brave. Like, I don't know whose work they're going to be going through, but instead of it being a one-on-one between you and Jim Lee, it's your work, Jim Lee, and thousands of viewers who are watching him critique every line that you've done. So I hope that the fan base that watches this is a little bit gentle and remembers that these are human beings in the comment section.
Probably not.
Probably not, but it's a hope. But I really do think that this is something cool, because for those budding artists, whether you're indie or you're already in the mainstream, you get to see what the criteria is and how they actually view portfolios, what they're looking for, and what they look at when they do work. So for me, I think this is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine how nervous I would be if I knew that I was going to be one of the artists being reviewed. I would be.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'd probably throw
Nope.
up.
Replay it again tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Stay out of the comments.
All right, so this next one is one that
Good luck to all those artists, by the way. Like that.
Yeah, this next one is one I'm really actually kind of excited for, simply for the mystery of it all, and that is the 20-minute surprise DC panel. No information, just 20 minutes, surprise DC panel. They tend to do these at big cons, and do you guys have any thought of what it might be, or what you may be hoping that it might be? Kelly, what do you think?
I would love it if it was something explaining exactly what's going to go on with HBO Max and DC Universe. If it was some kind of a DC Universe, I don't know, funeral, I guess. That's really where we are with this right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it could be really cool. I think the last Comic-Con I went to, their like surprise guest, surprise panel was Margot Robbie and the rest of, or a portion of the Birds of Prey cast. So it could be something really cool. Yeah, I mean, just I guess no information is good information. And how long is this one?
20 minutes.
20. Okay. I mean, my hope would be it's something about DC Universe, because I think I'm on the edge of my seat with that. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Well, given that some of these panels are only 5 minutes, giving this surprise panel the whole 20 means hopefully it's something big, or numerous something big. And yeah, I'm with you, Kelly. I want to know what's going on with DC Universe. I want to know what's going to happen with, and I said this on the podcast before, I'm really curious what they're going to do with all the video content that's not DC Universe originals. I'd love to hear an answer on that. And for the group that loves the comic aspect of DC Universe, I'd like to know what that's going to be, what that's going to look like going forward. Are they going to give some kind of price point to have access to that? So yeah, there is a lot up in the air about DC Universe that should be made clear. So we'll see. And I would also love to have more news on the New Gods movie, if that's possible. Because it really hasn't been much, and I'd like to see that production come ahead a little bit.
What about you, Kendra?
Yeah.
I'd be happy to see Alex Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't go to cons very often, and I mean, I think I can count on one hand the number of times he's been to one, so it would be cool to see him come out. But I mean, it's supposed to be super secret, so I would hope that it's something that's got the wow factor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be almost any number of things. Really, it could be a new movie that they haven't announced. Like Andrew here was hoping for a new Superman movie, like possibly a Man of Steel 2 or something like that. I mean, that's just I'd love that. That'd be awesome. That'd be fantastic. But part of me thinks that Kelly, that you're probably more right. That it'll probably be something to do with the fate of DCU. Um, but we'll see. Because I don't think there's anything. I don't think there was anything slated on the entire event that had anything to really do with DC Universe, like with what may or may not be happening. So I don't know what the thought there was going to be, if they were even thinking about addressing any of it or not. But I don't know. All right, so we're going to get.
That would be a huge elephant in the room. That's like
it will be.
You can't ignore that at a DC convention. That's a lot.
You can't. No. All right, so the next one is I'm Batman, the voices behind the cowl. And this is a really interesting one, I thought. It's more. It seems from the way that it sounds like it's a bit more about the international vocal actors, as opposed to like Kevin Conroy or like Dietrich Bader or Jason O'Mara. The ones that we all know. It seems like it'll be more about giving a spotlight to these international voice actors who dub over all the shows that we love to play Batman. So what are your thoughts on this panel? It's a 20-minute panel, so I mean we're getting it's a decent one. What do you think about this, Kelly?
I like this. This is a really interesting idea for a panel, because honestly I haven't really thought about what Batman sounds like in dubbed over other languages. That's probably really, really interesting. 20 minutes is good. That means we'll get more than 4 words out of each of them, most likely. So yeah, I will definitely watch this one.
What about you, Brad?
Yeah, this could be a fun panel, and it kind of goes. We talked about on the podcast last week about DC's new kind of international focus, and this is kind of goes in line with that. So this seems to be like what we can expect in the future. But I do think that they would have a lot of cool things to say, and maybe in ways that we don't necessarily think about. So yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah. And Kendra?
I want to hear "Pray to Me" in Japanese.
Yeah.
I'd be completely down for it. I mean, It's cool. I mean, like Kelly said, you don't really ever get a chance to think about it, because it's almost like with anime. You get your dubs and your subs, and you can hear it both ways, but we don't necessarily get that with Batman, because we have the English version. So it'll be really interesting to see what all nationalities they're bringing in, and hopefully they give them at least 2 to 3 questions, because I want to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so this next one, I'm sure we're all excited about, waiting for, trying to get some great information about this one, and that is the Snyder Cut. Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Harley.
Sorry, the Harley Quinn animated panel is not until 3 weeks after. Sorry.
Are you serious?
Yes. That is not one of the TV ones that made it onto this.
I hope y'all just heard my heart break.
Sorry. There is a little Harley Quinn thing that we'll get to, so you'll at least get a little bit of her. But
I thought I heard something.
So we get a 25-minute panel for the Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder fielding questions from fans and a few surprise guests. So my question to you guys, first off, how excited are you? And who do you think some of these surprise guests might actually be? Kelly?
Very excited.
Yeah.
And I think Oh goodness, I'm forgetting the name of the convention that was a couple weeks ago. That was
Justice
all
Con.
about the Snyderverse and the Snyder Cut, and it was really interesting. And honestly, it made me more excited to see the Snyder Cut because initially I was kind of like, "Yeah, I'm excited. Like this is good news." But then news, and what if it's just 6 hours of being disappointed? And now I'm not that pessimistic. I'm pretty sure that it's going great. I hope it. But I mean, 25 minutes this is like big spender on this one. They're really really driving home, which is good, but I do also, I mean, we just had a whole sort of convention wrap around that, so I don't know that it necessarily needed a huge chunk of space, but it also makes sure that it makes sense that it has
I feel like if they didn't do it,
because it is
people
kind
would
of the
be like,
biggest
what are you
news in
doing?
DC right now. But yeah, I mean, as far as the guests go, I'm not sure. Yeah, like it's been about a month. Let's all check back in, talk about it over again, and make people more excited. Which, sure, fine. I mean, I don't dislike the idea, but again, we're looking at like 5 minutes for other panels when this kind of has already had a lot of attention. So excited, but confused.
What about you, Brad?
I think that this is going to be one of the tentpole panels that people are going to be tuning in specifically to this event for. Because there's just such a huge buzz around Snyder Cut, probably a bigger buzz than they had even anticipated.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know exactly what has to be reshot or newly shot. How, so I'd be curious about information like that. If I was going to ask Zack Snyder a question, that kind of would be what it would be. And I'm guessing maybe some of the cast will show up. It would be cool to even have Affleck show up, Cavill, who knows. That's when it's kind of cool because it could be anybody. So you don't know who you're going to get. So it's definitely a surprise.
I have a feeling it'll probably be Ray Fisher and Jason Momoa. It feels like they're the two who are always popping up when he's doing stuff about the Snyder Cut. Kendra, what about you? What do you think?
I don't care.
Really?
I covered Justice Con for DKN. Me and Damien were the only ones who covered it, and I covered every panel but Snyder. I watched Snyder, but I covered every panel. And it's one of those things where I don't want to say it's beating a dead horse, but it's kind of like there's only so much hype that I can stand for the Snyder Cut when, I'm sorry, and I know I'm going to get so much hate mail, so bring it, but it's not even done, ladies and gentlemen. It's not done. For me as a fan, I don't need every little update. I like big updates, so if this is a big update, you've got my attention, you've got my excitement. But if it's just another rehash of Justice Con, I won't be watching.
I'm hoping that he brings some new footage that we haven't seen yet. That's what I'm hoping for. I think, like you said, there's been a lot of coverage on it, especially because of Justice Con. But if he brings something that we have not seen, not even like images of, just something completely new that we haven't seen, I think that could be the wow factor that we're looking for it. I don't know. That's just my thought. All right. Next up is a panel that they added to the day, and it's one of the 2 TV panels that we'll be getting, and that is The Flash. CW's The Flash. We will see. So they added this over, but they did not give any time frame. Now, when I did my original schedule, I was smart and wrote down all the times for all of these panels, all the run times. This was, at least originally, a 40-minute panel.
Why?
Hold on. However, in their schedule that they have now, the next panel starts about 15 minutes later. So they are either cutting this 40-minute panel down to 15 minutes and making it a teaser, or there are going to be overlapping panels, which was the whole problem in the first place that people were complaining about. Too much overlap. Things can't watch both of these things. This, that, the other. So first I want to ask you guys, obviously, are you excited at all? Do you like The Flash? Are you looking forward to this panel? And what do you think about this whole runtime situation? Kelly? Kelly? I don't know if she froze or what.
It's the most perfect frozen image ever, though, because it's everything that I'm feeling.
Well, Brad, how about you go? Eventually she'll come back in.
I do like The Flash, and there's part of me that would almost be more excited if it was still 40 minutes, because that would give people time to really talk and dive into it a little bit. I feel like a 15-minute thing will just be like a little, hey, how's everybody doing? Blah, blah, blah. Here's a sizzle reel from the next season.
Yeah.
And here's what we can do because of COVID, and here's where we're at. And I think that's just what it's going to have to, is what it's going to have to be.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
On this one, I don't even. Oh, we lost Kelly. Kelly down.
I just dropped her from the stream. Hopefully she'll be able to get back because she's still frozen. So.
Aww. No, but for this one, I mean, I don't either way. I mean, for those who are fans of it, I'm glad that they're getting something from the show, because I mean, they deserve that. But for me, this one won't be one that I watch.
See, this is actually one that I was actually excited for because I love the Flash series. But if it's only gonna be 15 minutes, yeah, like you said, Brad, like I don't know how they're gonna cut it down, or what they would do. I just don't think it would be very. I don't think it would be very good. Like I think that it's gonna take away from everything that they were gonna do with it. And again, I don't want a bunch of teasery things where I have to go and find other stuff. I just want my panel. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just want to see my panel. But, all right. So the next one, it's not super long, but it is a movie that who knows when it'll actually come out, and that is Black Adam. We get 15 minutes for this one. We get Dwayne Johnson out here taking some fan questions, hopefully giving us a sense of what this story will actually be, and what we'll actually wind up seeing from it. Brad, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
I'm excited for this because I'm excited to hear Dwayne Johnson talk about it, because he has loved the character so much, and I kind of want to see that enthusiasm brought in actual conversation and not just an interview that I've read. I want to see him talk about it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one.
What about you, Kendra?
I'm in the same boat. I mean, we finally have a panel where we're going to hear the star of the movie come on. And I mean, you're right. We don't know when it's going to come out, but at least we have the main person, well, one of the main people, coming in and telling us their experiences. So hopefully he's able to drop some more information. That would make that absolutely exciting.
Yeah. And welcome back, Kelly.
Hello. My internet was really mad about the short panels. It just
Amen.
Well, you missed our discussion on the Flash panel and how it went from seemingly from a 40-minute panel down to possibly just a 15-minute panel. But we don't actually know whether that's the case because it doesn't say the time frame. So I guess first address the Black Adam panel, since that's what we're talking about right now, and then you can go ahead and give your thoughts on the Flash one.
So the Black Adam panel, I mean, anything that The Rock makes me happy. He just his face, his demeanor, the fact that he's called The Rock, everything about him makes So I am really excited to see the enthusiasm Black Adam and see what he's like, talking about live and kind of maybe getting into her a little bit. That'll be really fun. As for the Flash panel, I mean, I'm not a big Flash watcher, so it didn't wound me to see that it might be a shorter panel, but it did make me curious that this was 40 minutes and we don't really have anything else that's quite that long. Yeah, I don't know.
But the problem with it
seems like
it's only got a 15-minute time slot, technically, unless there's going to be overlap. Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to split it into two things, then why make it overlap that bad? That's crazy. But
yeah, there is one.
I mean,
there is one panel that even from the get-go has an overlap, no matter what. And it's the next one that we'll talk about. But you go ahead and finish up your thoughts here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense that there's overlap. It's a convention. There has to be overlap somewhere. But I have to wonder what they thought was going to take 40 minutes that possibly, maybe now will only take 15. If that is the case, I mean, that's like, I remember struggling in public speaking to make a 5-minute speech a 3-minute speech. So I can't possibly imagine what 40 to 15 would be like if it's not just overlap. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely, we'll see how that goes. So this next one is a unique panel, I have to say, and that is the CNN Heroes, Real Life Heroes in the Age of Coronavirus panel. They're going to take a look, and talk about, so real life, everyday people making a difference in their community. And I'm looking at this right now, and it looks like they cut this thing way down. Okay, so this was originally a 60-minute panel.
Whoa.
Yes. And it was the one that I was like, it's the only thing that actually overlaps in this. But it looks like they have cut it down to a 20-minute panel. Interesting. I'm curious if we will be able to watch the whole thing somewhere else, because obviously they planned it to be an hour worth of stuff here. So first off, is this something that any of you guys are interested in? It does sound interesting, but I almost feel like it might throw the flow of the entire day kind of off. I don't know. Brad, let's start with you.
Yeah, a 20-minute panel seems a little bit long if you're giving some of these other panels just 5 minutes. So is this going to be like a CNN show? Is that what I'm led to believe? It's what it seems like.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a big. Anderson Cooper is going to be the one hosting it, so who knows?
Yeah, maybe. So I guess this is kind of I'll see it when I see it kind of thing. Like I'm not super excited, but it could be something that could be really cool. It's not what I'm expecting.
Yes. So you say 20 minutes seems a little long. What are your thoughts on it originally being 60 minutes?
Well, I would assume that if that panel was originally 60 minutes, then some of these other panels were originally longer too, and it would kind of all work itself out. So I think there's no way that this panel would be twice as long as some of these other panels that were there.
It's the only one that was labeled originally, because like I said, when I did my original schedule, I wrote down all the running times. It's the only one that was more than 30 minutes on this day in the Hall of Heroes. It's the only one.
Maybe what they would do, okay, so I take that back, because what they could have done perhaps was like they do sometimes with TV panels at Comic-Cons, where, hey, here's the cast, talks a little bit. Oh, by the way, here's the first episode. Go ahead and watch it. So if that was the case, then I could see it being 60 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. What about you, Kendra? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm excited. I'm a frontline worker. I want to see some recognition.
Yeah.
I haven't had a day off since we started.
Fair enough.
But, I mean, 60 minutes to me, that makes sense. I mean, look what happened to Justice Con. They had a whole hour and a half for suicide prevention. Not that I don't understand why. I do. Fully aware. But, I mean, it would make sense that DC would do something like this when they're doing a con, because there are a lot of us that haven't had time off, that haven't, been stuck at home. So I think that it's cool that they were going to do the recognition for it. And I don't know what happened with the cutoff.
Yeah.
But
only thing I can think of is that they either it was a typo in the original program, or they realized this is way too long for what we've got. It's way too long for what we've got, and since we've had to move all this other stuff, we have to cut it down. I feel like that's the only explanation that I could come up with for it. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. And yeah, I get why this panel would fit. And especially since the coronavirus has started, DC's been so adamant about fundraising, keeping stores open, sort of being that kind of a resource. And so it makes sense. Although, yeah, I don't. I mean, 60 minutes down to, and the fact that it's a CNN, maybe are we just going to see an episode something that's already aired, or I mean, maybe people had to drop out last minute. I'm not sure, but it's a weird time cut, and I'm a little bit concerned as a whole just what I mean, these are some weird times. Everything time-wise about this convention is bizarre. So we'll see.
I feel like they were having as hard of a time as I was having trying to make the schedule. Like they're like, oh, gotta fix some things here, gotta try to move stuff
everything's
around.
5 minutes.
Yes, everything's 5 minutes. Just cut it all. So this next one.
That's not even a smoke break.
No, it's not. I'm personally really excited for, because I actually just finished the second season yesterday. I had to catch up on it because I wanted to be able to cover this panel, and that is Titans. I am pumped for it. It's according to the original schedule, it's supposed to be a 30-minute panel. But just like The Flash, it only has a 15-minute slot until the next panel starts. So again, I don't know if they're just cutting it short, or what exactly they're doing. I was really excited to have these longer TV show panels, and so the fact that we might only get 15 minutes kind of bums me out a little bit, but I mean, I'll still be there to watch it, obviously. But Brad, are you a fan of the show, and are you excited for this panel?
Yeah, I am a fan of the show. I finished the second season not too long ago myself, and one thing I liked about the second season a lot is how they were able to utilize a lot of characters and bring all the characters in and not feel like any of them were really cheated for time overall, which was pretty impressive. And I'd kind of be curious if they could delve into other characters they're going to try to bring in for season 3, because there's definitely a whole huge amount of characters that they could have fun using. So cutting the time back, I'm not sure we're going to get that, but I am so happy that there's going to be a Titans panel.
What about you, Kendra?
I'm excited to see what they're bringing to the table. It makes me start to think, though, with these, I'm a conspiracy theorist apparently tonight, because it's either that they're teasers, or maybe the 15 minutes is what they're able to do when it comes to moderating how many questions are coming. Because if there's, let's say they get 5 or 10 on a Zoom meeting from the show of the actors, I mean, it's going to be a bombardment of questions from people who want to know about the plot, about how people feel about their characters, what their favorite moment on scene is, what's their favorite episode, what's coming for season 3. So maybe that time slot allotment is to help slim down and cycle the questions so that way they're not overwhelmed.
Yeah, Eric here says, he thinks we'll get the announcement of the premiere date for Titan season 3, and that, I mean, the HBO Max thing, we actually already got an announcement that all of the DCU shows are going to be moving over to HBO Max. That was something that was already said by Jim Lee. But I think a premiere date for season 3 would be fantastic to get. I would love to finally find out what's going to happen there, and then just to find out what we might be able to see. Maybe get a sizzle reel of some sort. I think that'd be good. Kelly, what about you?
Yeah, what you just said, it is to think how many questions they're going to have, how many questions they would have to answer to really make it a worthwhile panel, because I mean, like you said, a premiere date, what's happening in season 3? Are we going to see new characters? What can we wrap up from season 2 that they're going to show in a very brief panel? Yeah, I mean, hopefully this is something that answers a couple of questions, but it can only be a couple of questions. I feel like I'm being just a grunt, but I mean, or maybe I'm just a long-winded, but I don't know how many answers we'll be able to get out of it in that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably true. Probably, I mean, if it is being clipped down to 15, probably not going to get as much as we would have.
I like the idea of us kind of having more discussion between, the cast and creators and that sort of thing. Seem possible at this point. So I'll watch it.
Oh, we lost her.
No.
Internet not being the friend of Miss Kelly. But we will continue to trudge forward with our next panel, and that is Aquaman. That's right. The Aquaman movie, we're going to have James Wan, Patrick Wilson, 10 minutes. It says revealing their favorite behind-the-scenes moments from the largest DC movie ever. It doesn't say anything about whether or not they will be talking about the new film. I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity if all they're doing is talking about the first movie. I mean, we're only getting 10 minutes, but I don't think they've really done much anything on the film at all anyway, so I don't think they've done any filming. So I hope that we get some more information, and I kind of hope we get some information on that, whether or not they're going to actually do that Trench movie. So I guess we'll start with Brad. What do you think? Are you excited for this panel? What are you looking forward to with it?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I want to learn more about what's happening with the Trench movies. That's still moving forward, because that seems like it'd be such a cool project. I don't think that we're going to really hear much, though, about either that or It's only 10 minutes. Can't really do anything in 10 minutes, so it's going to be that's going to be a tricky one. I have a feeling it's just going to be them talking about their favorite stories from the first one.
Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
This one seems like, because they don't say anything about having an answer, a Q&A either. So I'm actually kind of curious to see if this one's just going to be someone as a host or as a moderator sitting there and just asking them to have a conversation about what their favorite moments are. That in itself would be kind of cool to see a genuine conversation about what their favorite parts of working on it were and from the movie itself. So I'm down to watch it.
Yeah. I love the first movie personally, and so I'm excited to see what they may reveal. But even if they're just even if they're just telling stories, I'd still be down with that. I'll still give that a watch no matter what. And she's back. Welcome back, Kelly.
I just want to Brady Bunch.
My computer's furious.
So we were just talking about the Aquaman panel, and how it says that they're going to be, essentially telling stories about, their favorite moments from the first movie. It's only 10 minutes long. no mention of whether or not they'll talk about anything about the sequel or the spinoff. So, what are your thoughts on this Aquaman panel?
I'm officially not buying that anything can be 10 minutes. How do you tell stories with a group of people in 10 minutes? That's crazy. There has to be something more to this that we're not seeing, or maybe it's a bunch of typo. I don't know. But
I don't know. Yeah,
I am
it's like
this panel. That sounds fun.
They made this big deal about, overlapping panels, and that's why we have to, it's too much. But if you've ever gone to a con, you can never go to everything. You just can't. You know what I mean? That's kind of the point.
No.
Like, there's stuff for everybody. Now, maybe they scheduled certain things to where it just made it impossible to be able to get to some of the key panels. Like, for instance, that Titans panel, they only had airing once. If you missed it, it was done. There was no encore for it. And so, like, I had to shift the panel for the Batman to literally the end of my 24 hours, because that's the only time that Titans panel was airing. And I was like, well, that's not cool. Like, what are you guys doing? So I get that. I get why they tried to do some of the things that they did, but I don't. I'm gonna be really interested to see if they are actually gonna stick to this 8-hour thing. If it's not gonna be some sort of weird overlapping and pushing things back, I have no idea. Because I mean, most of this stuff is pre-recorded, if not all of it. So you'd think that they would have this schedule, be able to have the schedule set and ready to go. So
yeah. I would rather it overlap than have 5 minutes, though. I mean, I would rather miss some things and hear about it later on than it just wouldn't make sense logistically for the way that they handle having too much on their plate. Everything. Tell us that takes 30 seconds onto them. A little bit crazy.
I actually would have, at this point, I would almost prefer them to do it 2 sets of 20 or of 12 hours, like 2 12-hour blocks instead of 3 8-hour blocks.
Yeah.
That way they could have longer panels, maybe a few more, whatever. They'd have 4 extra hours to fill in with some of this other stuff instead of having 5-minute panels here and there. So, but all right. So this next one, I think Kendra will be at least a little bit excited about. We got some Harley Quinn action going on here. Now, no, this is not the Harley Quinn animated panel. This is something called Ask Harley Quinn. It is 10 minutes, and what it sounds like is that it will be the animated Harley Quinn taking fan questions. And I'll be totally honest with you, that sounds kind of awesome. Just having her, I'm hoping this is what it is, that they animated her to answer some questions and just go to town. We'll see how it is, but I'm pretty excited about that. Brad, what are your thoughts on this Ask Harley Quinn panel?
I think that it's highly likely that it's going to be exactly that. And I would love to see that for at least a half hour, not just 10 minutes. So, hopefully maybe they recorded some questions that they won't actually put in the actual panel, and they could put it on YouTube or something like that, a little extra later on. But yeah,
that'd be cool.
It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. And Kendra, as the one who loves herself some Harley Quinn, what are your thoughts here? I know you're not getting the full panel, but you're not getting that full panel, but at least you're getting something, right?
I wish it was longer. And I don't know how it can't be longer.
Yeah. I mean, even the actual Harley Quinn animated panel is only 20 minutes long.
Well, at least that's like a full episode. I mean, look how much they pack into those.
That's true. That is true. So,
but I mean, if this is truly a fans ask questions for Harley, animated Harley, to answer, there's no way this is only 15 minutes. That's like, there's no way. There's no way they'll be able to regulate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'll be something. I'm interested to see what all of these things wind up actually doing. But this is one that I'm definitely kind of excited about. It was one that I was like, I gotta make sure I put this into my schedule somewhere. I gotta fit it in somewhere. Kelly, what about you? Is this one that you're looking forward to?
Oh, absolutely. This, I think when I first read the schedule, this was one of the ones that immediately went onto my I have to see list. As far as the time goes, this being 15 minutes, I guess it's no crazier than anything else, the time that it is. If it's anime when asking, I assume they have to have already received her answer. I would assume to know what personally anime off my head, but I can assume the general vein of questions. And I would love to know what it is that fans are going to be asking her, because I feel like it's not going to be like grocery shopping tips. So yeah, I'm definitely excited.
You never know.
To be fair, there's a few things I think I could ask her about groceries. What is a kumquat?
That'd be a hilarious question to ask. Oh, I don't think I've ever wanted to hear Harley answer that question more than right now.
I should have submitted it. I don't know.
You should have. All right. So this next one is the one that I was talking about before. Is the one that is a 5-minute panel that I just don't see how they could possibly pull it off. And that is the Wonder Woman 80th celebration. 5 minutes to celebrate all 80 years of Wonder Woman. I don't understand their thought process behind some of the timing for some of these panels like this. So, I mean, Brad, I guess we'll start with you and just kind of, what are your thoughts?
This, I think, is just going to be some kind of announcement of other things that they have planned to celebrate. Because that's the only way that I could see 5 minutes being of any service to anybody when it comes to celebrating 80 years of Wonder Woman history.
And it's Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot, and it says a very special guest, as they reflect on the character's influence on them personally and look forward to the 2021 celebrations. But then why name it Wonder Woman 80th celebration? Like, it seems like, I don't know, it almost seems like a clickbait kind of title, because it doesn't seem like that's really what it's gonna be. But I don't know.
I wonder if once we get into this thing, if we're gonna understand it better on how these shorter panels are gonna work. Right now it's a lot of speculation, but I think that maybe once it starts, we'll get a better idea, and then it'll make sense.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Kendra, what about you?
It better make sense, because otherwise it is horrifically disrespectful. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't cuss, so I'm gonna say horrific, but you'll know I don't mean horrific. But I mean, I think the special guest, it would be really cool if they bring in Linda Carter. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
I would think that that's really cool. But then if you're going to do that, if you're going to bring in all of these wonderful, amazing VA women who have played Wonder Woman, 5 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like we said, like the Chris Daughtry thing, I'm sorry, but that could have been gone. You could have slapped it on this. You know what I mean?
Make it make sense, 15, Brad. Yeah. Make it make sense, Brad.
Kelly, what about you?
Oh, God, there's no way. I officially believe it is impossible for any of these panels to be 5 minutes, because who wants to watch 8 hours of tribute videos? And you can't, this just isn't possible. It's not doable. Even if it was Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot talking about their favorite Wonder Woman moments, or what, like, you couldn't even fit that into 5 minutes. They would have, a 10-second introduction, a 10-second conclusion, and then just kind of throw yourselves in for about a minute and a half. Like, that's it. This can't be possible. I don't understand it. And yeah, I was really looking forward to this one too, because 80 years of Wonder Woman, that sounds awesome. And now I'm thinking it's going to be like one of those little like sticky note flip books that just some sort of lasso thing, and then it's over. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like Eric said here, it could be a tribute video, where they come out, they talk for a minute or two, real quick, and then show just like a nice video package about it, and I mean, for for 5 minutes, if that's what they're gonna do, then okay, but I would definitely prefer more for Wonder Woman 80th celebration. Like it doesn't seem like it's getting the justice that it deserves. No pun intended with the word justice there. All right, so our next one is a very interesting panel, I thought. It's called Tomorrow's Superheroes with Jim Lee, brought to you by Gold House. It's Jim Lee with Bing Chen, who is the founder of a global nonprofit collective called Gold House, and they will be discussing the important contributions of Asian artists and writers in comics and comic book inspired entertainment. Get a nice 15-minute panel for that. I think this is really cool, a really important thing to be able to showcase some of these Asian artists and writers, and Jim Lee, who better than Jim Lee to be out there promoting something like this. Brad, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I bet Jim Lee's gonna have a lot of interesting things to say and a lot of interesting perspective, because there really isn't a lot of Asian representation in the art or writing of comics. So I'm sure he does have a lot of good insights.
Yeah. Kendra, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I mean, if you look at most of the artists that do a lot of the work for DC, I mean, it's going to be cool to see them finally get recognition. And not only that, but we get to see almost behind the scenes. So I'm down for it. I mean, I am. I'm glad that there's so much Jim Lee this weekend.
Yeah, there is. There is actually. Even in a lot of the other islands, there's a lot of Jim Lee stuff going on. Which, yeah, I mean, it seems like he's the one really kind of spearheading this whole thing. So he's been the face of it too. So. And Kelly, what are your thoughts?
I almost feel like Jim Lee's like the one guy in the paddle boat actually pedaling at this point. Like he's really putting in some work to keep this going. This is like an awesome panel, and at least it's 15 minutes. I mean, if we're never mind that you can't really tell a story in 5 minutes, but if it's about recognition and putting artists in a spotlight that haven't had that spotlight before, you can't possibly say, all right, you get 30 seconds to tell your story and then move on to the next person. So, I mean, 15 minutes is something. This is a really good idea for a panel. I'm excited to see it. Wow, Jim Lee is really, he's really putting all the effort in. So, I mean, good for him. This is why we love him.
Yeah. Looks like we lost Brad. Hopefully he'll be able to pop his way back in here soon. But until then, we will head on to the next one.
Computer strike.
Yeah. And I guess all the internets are just like, damn you, FanDome. We're going to move on to Shazam. So we already talked a little bit about Black Adam. Now we have his counterpart here, Shazam. 10 minutes. We got Zach Levi and the cast talking about, I mean, I don't know how much of the cast, but there was a pretty decent sized cast in there, especially toward the end. Talking about, some of the stuff in the movie, commentating on everything from panels, other panels, even it says the other Zach's cut. So it's like, I don't know exactly what this panel is. If they're talking about, it says they're talking about the next movie, and it says what the next movie might be about. Doesn't say what the movie is about, but what it might be about. And then while commentating on everything from panels to the other Zach's cut, and a few surprise guests will drop in. So, Kendra, what are your thoughts on this one?
This one's only 10 minutes, and that one strikes me really, really odd. Not only because we have the cast, but because it mentions in the panel description that they're going to have the #1 DC fan from the Philippines there, almost as like a feature to help comment on it. Like, I don't know if maybe he won a contest or something like that, but he gets to join the panel, which is super freaking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being like this huge super fan and getting your dream of being able to talk with stars from Shazam? That would be amazing. But then again, why is it only, if you guys are going to be doing this broad spectrum of conversation, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And part of me hopes that maybe like at this stage in the game, I'm almost like I hope these are just like little snippets of longer panels that we get to eventually see on the on demand or whatever. Just because like I want more from these panels.
I was just gonna say that maybe these are just kind of like previews that they'll have more of later.
But why wouldn't they say that?
Yeah, I don't know. They said that in one panel. It's the only they said it one time, and they haven't said it in any of the others. So I don't know. That's why I'm just like I don't know what to expect from this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but Kelly, what do you are you excited at all for this? Are you hoping? Because like I said, it says they're gonna talk about what the next movie might be about, and the word "might" is the thing that I keep sticking on. I don't know what to like. Might? Why might? Why not just tell us what it's about? You know?
So is it this? This is DC. These are actors from the movie. I mean, what do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean might? Like it either is or is not. We can say might. You can't say might. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much my exact thought process on that one. So we're gonna move on to this next one, which I am actually pretty intrigued about. I don't know if you guys have ever played a game called Werewolf. Any of you? Card game called Werewolf. Group of friends together. You're all you're each different like townsfolk.
Love it.
And one of you is the werewolf, but no one knows who, and you got to figure it out.
Isn't that Old Maid?
I don't know about that, but this is a game that I've been playing since college. And the Wonder Woman 84 cast will be playing Werewolf 1984. And this sounds kind of awesome. It's just 22 minutes of them playing this game. I don't know. It just, to me, I'm like, this sounds awesome. Just to see them kind of let loose and play a game with one another. I guess this was a game that they would play while filming the movie, while on set. So, Kendra, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this? Have you ever heard of this game? And
it sounds like Old Maid.
I don't know what that is.
Old Maid is basically where you have like this granny card that you have to try and get other people to take from you, and if you keep it, then you lose. If they get it, then you win.
Oh.
So I would think that that's the same kind of circumstance because you have to figure out who the werewolf or the villains are. But
fair enough.
I mean, it sounds like it would be cool to see. I like the fact that Rooster Teeth is going to be featured. I love their content, so I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
But this is going to be me saying this is something I could have done without, and I would have liked these minutes put on somewhere else.
This could have been one of the on-demand things.
Right.
I mean, where you just go and kind of watch it at your leisure. Definitely could have. I am excited for it, and I would have watched it no matter where it wound up being. But I could definitely see it being like part of the on-demand, and then taking that 22 minutes or whatever and sticking something else in its place, just to fill that good time, or just giving that time to other panels. So Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be fun, but I agree. I think it could be something that they could have done on demand. Wouldn't necessarily have to be a tune-in live kind of thing. But yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. And Kelly?
Yeah. No, I actually was excited for this panel. I love this game. I learned it initially as Mafia, and same exact thing where it's just somebody is I think somebody's the hitman, and you figure out who the hitman is, and then this one's the werewolf. And I mean, it's a fun game, but if I can give Daughtry the boot, then I can also give this the boot in a sense. I mean,
fair enough.
Again, it just comes back to how strange the timing is. It's 22 minutes, Which, never mind that everything else is like 5, 10, 15 on the nose, but 22
Yeah, it's the
minutes.
only one that's kind of
And
weirdly timed.
it
But
just
I'm assuming that's just literally how long the video is. You know,
it must have been a really fun game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to check it out at least. So.
But then everything else came in at that exact time marker.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know.
crazy.
Maybe I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I'm just
I'll
trying
check
to
it
make
out.
an
I
excuse
mean,
here.
yeah, I gotta agree.
Yeah. Okay, so we are getting down to our penultimate panel here, and that one is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, the new game from Rocksteady. So when I talked about this with Damien the other day, he caught something in the image that I didn't catch the first time that I saw this picture. So obviously you got this poster. It's Superman from the back with the Suicide Squad X on his head, like the target. But if you look at his eyes, it's like he's ready to use his laser vision. Like you see the red kind of surfacing out there, and like it's like he's about to use it. So we had a discussion about what this game could be, what it might mean, what that picture might mean, and both of us came to the thought that maybe this is similar to an Injustice type of situation, where Superman has gone bad or evil of some sort, and the Suicide Squad, maybe he's taken out the Justice League, or maybe all of the Justice League is bad, and the Suicide Squad has to try and take them all out, and that's why it's called Kill the Justice League. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on this, Kendra? What do you think?
I'd be down for that. I mean, I'm interested in anything that they're going to be bringing to the gaming experience, especially when it features Superman, because I've wanted a good Superman game for forever, and I don't feel like I've been given that justice yet. So I would be willing to absolutely see what they've got. The fact that Rocksteady's got their hands on it, we might get to see a little bit of content. I'm down.
Yeah, cool. Kelly, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a big gamer, but that does sound like a really, really cool game. And I think it probably has to be, because if you think of the Suicide Squad and what they're, implanted and pushed to do, it's all Amanda Waller and her, screw the superheroes kind of attitude. So it would make sense that if Superman's going rogue or seems like he's going rogue, that's the team that would be called in to get rid of him. Yeah, I would. I probably won't play it myself, but I will definitely watch someone else play it for an obscene amount of time.
Nice. Brad, what about you?
This is probably one of the panels I'm most excited for. I loved the Arkham games. They're some of my favorite video games ever, and I can't wait to see what Rocksteady does next. And I agree with you, Kelly and Josh, that that could be a situation where they've gone bad, and it is the Suicide Squad that's get called in to deal with it. I hope that we get a cinematic trailer. I doubt that we'll see gameplay, but it would be really cool to get a cinematic trailer to know a little bit more about the story and what's going to happen. So any bit of information I'm excited for.
I mean, it's a solid 20-minute panel, so we might get some decent stuff out of it, some good information about what this game really is going to be, and hopefully a good. I love cinematic trailers for video games. Those are some of my favorite things to watch. To be honest with you. And something like this, and I'd be down. And I hope it's like a 5-minute cinematic. I'll watch that whole thing, like a little mini, like a little short film. I'm down. I hope that's really what it is.
And we really could get one, because when Arkham Knight was announced, it was announced with a cinematic trailer. That's how they kind of pushed it on the world. Nobody knew it was coming, and all of a sudden this trailer is playing all over. So we definitely could see that. So I would love that.
Yeah. All right, and now we are on to our final panel, and that is The Batman. A nice solid 30 minutes. Got Matt Reeves here with Aisha Tyler as the moderator. It says, be a discussion of the upcoming film with a surprise or two for the fans. So I think this is probably my most anticipated panel for this day specifically. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Kendra, what are you hoping to get out of this panel?
I have such a girl crush on Aisha Tyler. I'm going to be happy just to watch her.
Same.
I mean, And the fact that it's Batman, I mean, it's beautiful. I'm here for whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, what about you?
I was stunned that it's Aisha Tyler because I know we joked, or not necessarily joked, on the podcast before about her playing Barda in the new Gods movie. So the fact that she's tied into all of this is really, really cool. And I mean, yeah, Kendra, like you, I have the biggest girl crush on her. She's the coolest person ever. I love everything she does. So yeah, I was stunned that she's in this, but I'm really glad. I think I'll love it. I don't see why I wouldn't.
Yeah. All right. And Brad, what are you hoping to
And
get out of
I
this Batman?
still,
is definitely,
thank goodness, I think I'd give up. I think that would have been
the headlining panel, like a headlining band of this festival. They're definitely saving the most anticipated for last. And yeah. I'm hoping that we see a little bit of footage.
Yeah.
To finally,
I mean, they filmed quite a bit from what I understand. So I mean, we could get some sort of teaser trailer, theoretically, from this.
Hopefully, it'll give me a new perspective on those ears on the bat suit, because I'm not sold on those yet. So
I really need to see that whole suit just in motion, in action, in the film, like in a trailer, just see how it actually looks.
Yeah. So
I really need to see that.
I do want to see. I do want to see footage, and there's been a lot of talk. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is going to be inside Bruce Wayne's head," kind of thing. And as far as the conversation, I'd like to hear more about that, more specifics. And I agree, Aisha Tyler's the perfect host, and I would love it if she would play Barda. So somebody, if they do a Q&A somehow, some way, ask that question.
Yeah,
she would play it. But that's So yeah, this is definitely. This is definitely the one to watch.
I've tweeted it at them a few times. I'm trying.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm, other than footage, obviously, the thing I'm wanting the most out of this panel is to simply just know what the story is about. You know, we really don't know for sure. There's a lot of speculation about, what the like what the inspirations have been for this movie. Whether it's year 1 or year 2, or whether it's Long Halloween or whatever, what it happens to be. I just want to hear Matt Reeves sit down and just tell us what this movie is, what we can expect from it, and then show a little bit of footage. I think that'd be the perfect way to end this 8-hour block of awesome stuff. So, yeah. All right. So I think we should wrap things up with just kind of giving our overall thoughts and hopes for FanDome. I'm going to call it Day 1. I know it's called Hall of Heroes, but I'm just going to call it Day 1. Kendra, what are your hopes and dreams and wishes for FanDome Day 1?
For times to be gone over.
All right. I like that. I think that'd be great. Yeah. It's like, I'll be honest, even if the whole thing winds up lasting longer than 24 hours, I'd be cool with that. Or you just take that, whatever, so it starts at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and whenever it ends, you still start the second block at 9, so that those people can still just, if you're catching it later, and just have overlap. If they have different rooms in some of the other islands, they could have different rooms in this island. They could, you know what I mean? I don't know. Kelly, what about you? What are you hoping for FanDome overall? Kelly.
Oh, damn. My internet's like threatening to cut out again. Yeah, I agree completely with Kendra. I really hope some of these go over. I hope that, my only concern is time. Everything sounds amazing. So I want everything to be amazing, but I also don't want to feel like I've seen YouTube ads that are longer than the panels.
Yeah.
I want to feel like everything is worthwhile by the end of the 8 hours.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And Brad, what about you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that I don't want to feel cheated. Like I didn't get to see enough. Like I want there to be substance in every even if it's 5 minutes. And I'm really hoping to see some footage from Suicide Squad, from the Batman, and from the Suicide Squad game. And I want to see what Cheetah looks like. Those are kind of the main things that I want. Everything else is just cool conversations and just a cool kind of celebration of what DC is. So that's what I'm hoping for. It's a lot of footage.
Absolutely. All right, so that wraps up this first episode of The Editor's Desk. Thank you for joining us today as we talked about FanDome. Kendra, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Oh gosh, people can find me on Twitter at Devour All Words. I can be found writing news and reviews for Dark Knight News, Fantastic Universes, and I can also be found weekly with my compatriots who are no longer here, but I'm pointing at them somehow. Doing the podcast for DC and Weekly and the Mad Love Harley Quinn cast, which this one, of course, has proven to me that me and Kelly could never do a live cast together because we'd be giggling the whole time.
All right. And speaking of Kelly, where can everybody find you?
True. You can find me on Twitter, right? John, that's kind of awesome. And you can find me doing opinion pieces for DC Comics News. And you can also find me on the Harley Quinn podcast and on the main DC Comics News podcast.
All right. And Brad, where can people find you?
You can find me writing news and reviews, dccomicsnews.com. I'm also on the DC Comics News regular podcast and on the Mad Love podcast. So tune in, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at FlickyB1.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at JP Raynor. That's JPRAYNOR. And of course, be sure to check out DC Comics News on all the social medias at DC Comics News. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page, our Twitter, our YouTube page, everything, so that you can stay up to date with everything going on in the world of DC. And be sure to always check out DCComicsNews.com. And so, as we say every time we do a show on this network, we have one simple phrase. We're going to go, Kendra, Kelly, Brad, take it away.
Read.
More, Brad.
More comics.
There it is. Thank you, Internet, for making that entertaining. We will catch you next time at the editor's desk.
Am I frozen again?